The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. Inside its main council chamber, representatives from 12 different alien races sat around a circular table. The room buzzed with excitement as holographic displays showed a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. Ambassador Zethkar of the Vorthak Empire stood at the center of the room. His scaled green skin gleamed under the bright lights as he gestured toward the floating image of Earth. His yellow eyes sparkled with greed as he spoke to the assembled council members. "Look at this pathetic world," Zethkar said with a sneer. "The humans who live there are barely more advanced than cave dwellers. They have only just learned to leave their own planet, and even then, they can barely reach their own moon without crashing." The other aliens murmured in agreement. "Commander," Sisk of the reptilian Sorok delegation hissed with pleasure. The crystalline beings called Etherians pulsed with bright colors that showed their interest. Everyone in the room could smell the profit and power that would come from conquering such a weak world. "Their weapons are primitive," Zethkar continued, changing the holographic display to show human military equipment. "They still use chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Their fastest ships move slower than our cargo vessels. Their communication systems are so basic that they still bounce signals off their planet's atmosphere." A delegate from the insect-like Chitaran species clicked its mandibles. "How many ships do they have in space?" it asked in its buzzing voice. Zethkar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "Perhaps 50 vessels, and most of those are simple transport ships or research stations. They have no real military presence beyond their homeworld. Their so-called space force consists of converted civilian ships with basic weapons bolted on." The council members nodded their heads or performed whatever gesture their species used to show agreement. This would be easier than any of them had imagined. Earth sat in a perfect location in the galaxy's outer spiral arm. It had abundant water, mineral resources, and a population that could be enslaved or eliminated as needed. "What about their planetary defenses?" asked General Vex of the machine-like synthetic collective. His metallic voice showed no emotion, but his red optical sensors focused intently on the display. "Laughable," Zethkar replied. "They have some missile systems and energy weapons on their homeworld, but nothing that could stop a proper invasion fleet. Their technology is at least 200 years behind our most basic equipment. One of our destroyers could level their largest cities without taking damage." Far from the council meeting, on the edge of Earth's solar system, Captain Jake Morrison sat in what looked like a simple asteroid mining station orbiting the moon. The facility appeared to be nothing more than a collection of storage tanks and processing equipment attached to a hollowed-out rock. Ships came and went regularly, carrying loads of ore and supplies, but appearances could be deceiving. Jake studied multiple screens showing data streams from across the solar system. His team worked quietly around him, monitoring communications and tracking movements that most people would never notice. Lieutenant Amy Brooks sat at the communications console, her fingers dancing over the controls as she filtered through thousands of signals. "Captain," Amy said without looking up from her screens, "we're getting increased chatter from the outer monitoring posts. Something big is moving in the Vega sector." Sergeant Pete Collins looked up from his weapons systems display. "Sir, the passive sensors are picking up hyperspace signatures. Multiple ships, heavy class by the looks of the distortion patterns." Jake nodded calmly. His team had been expecting this for months. Earth's real intelligence network stretched far beyond what any alien scout would imagine. Hidden monitoring, stations disguised as space debris tracked ship movements across dozens of star systems. What looked like failed satellite launches had actually placed advanced sensor platforms in perfect positions to watch for threats. "Any word from Admiral Hayes?" Jake asked. Amy touched her earpiece and listened for a moment. "Message coming through. Now, sir. It's encrypted with the Prometheus codes." The communication that appeared on Jake's private screen was brief and to the point. Admiral Lisa Hayes, commander of Terran Defense Command, had sent the message from a facility that most Earth governments didn't even know existed. The message contained only a few lines, but they told Jake everything he needed to know. "Package inbound. Estimated arrival 72 hours. Authorization Prometheus Protocol. All stations prepare for Phase 1 activation. Maintain cover until Further orders. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council continued their planning session. Maps of Earth's solar system filled the air above the conference table, marked with what the aliens believed were the locations of human settlements and defenses. The invasion fleet will drop out of hyperspace here, Zethkar said, pointing to a spot beyond the orbit of Pluto. We will advance slowly, giving the humans time to panic and perhaps surrender. If they resist, we will demonstrate our power by destroying one of their outer settlements first. How long until our forces are ready? Asked Ambassador Quill of the trading federation known as the Merchant Alliance. Her blue skin rippled with the patterns that showed excitement among her people. Admiral Kruzthak's fleet is already assembled, Zethkar replied. 300 ships including 50 heavy cruisers and 10 dreadnoughts. More than enough to handle anything the humans might throw at us. The council members spent another hour discussing the division of Earth's resources. The Vorthak would claim the largest continent for mining operations. The Sarok wanted the ocean worlds for their breeding colonies. The Etherians desired the energy-rich polar regions. Everyone would profit from this easy conquest. None of them noticed the small probe that had been listening to their conversation from a hiding spot near the station's outer hull. The device was smaller than a human fist and completely invisible to their sensors. It had been there for 3 months, recording every word and transmitting the data back to Earth through a network of relay stations that the aliens had never detected. As the council meeting ended and the various delegates returned to their ships, the probe made one final transmission before quietly self-destructing. The message traveled faster than light through quantum communication channels that existed only in theoretical papers as far as the Galactic Council knew. On Earth, in a bunker facility buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Nathan Wright received the transmission and smiled grimly. The aliens were about to learn that humanity had not been idle during their years of isolation. Earth had been preparing for this moment, and the galaxy was about to discover that appearances could be very deceiving indeed. Deep inside a mountain in Colorado, President Elena Rodriguez walked through a corridor that officially did not exist. The walls were lined with screens showing data from across the solar system. Men and women in military uniforms moved quickly between workstations, their faces serious as they prepared for what was coming. Dr. Nathan Wright met the president at the entrance to the main command center. His gray hair was messy from running his hands through it, and his eyes showed the strain of months of preparation. Behind him, the largest room Elena had ever seen stretched out like an underground city. Madam President, Dr. Wright said, welcome to the Terra Defense Initiative. What you are about to see is classified at the highest levels. Only 12 people in the world knew this facility existed until today. Elena followed him into the command center. Hundreds of technicians worked at control stations while massive screens showed images of space that looked nothing like what the public saw on the news. Instead of empty darkness between planets, the displays revealed a network of hidden installations and ships that filled the solar system. My God, Elena whispered. How long has this been going on? 30 years, Dr. Wright replied. Ever since we first detected alien radio signals. We knew this day would come, so we started preparing. Every failed space mission the public heard about was actually a success. Every mining operation was really a weapons platform. Every research station was actually a military base. On the main screen, a 3-dimensional map of the solar system rotated slowly. Red dots marked locations that the aliens believed were simple human outposts. Blue dots showed the real military installations hidden throughout space. There were hundreds of blue dots for every red one. The asteroid belt alone contains 47 battle stations, Dr. Wright explained. Each one is disguised as a mining operation. The aliens think we are digging for metals and ice. In reality, we hollowed out those rocks and filled them with weapons that could destroy their largest ships. Colonel Sam Parker approached them, carrying a data pad filled with ship specifications. His uniform bore no insignia that Elena recognized, and his weathered face showed the confidence of a man who had been preparing for war his entire career. Madam President, Colonel Parker said, I command the Phantom Fleet. For 20 years we have been building ships in secret facilities on the far side of the moon and inside Jupiter's largest moons. The aliens think our space program is a joke, because they only see our oldest and most primitive vessels. Elena looked at the ship designs on his data pad. The vessels shown there looked nothing like the rockets and shuttles that NASA launched. These ships were sleek and deadly, with weapons and shields that seemed like science fiction. "How many ships do we really have?" Elena asked. "Over 800 combat vessels," Colonel Parker replied, "plus 1,500 support ships and 10,000 automated defense drones. Our newest destroyers are faster and more heavily armed than anything in the Galactic Council's fleets." Meanwhile, in the space station Nexus Prime, Ambassador Zethkar was receiving disturbing reports from his advanced scouts. 3 reconnaissance ships had been sent to observe Earth's outer planets, and none had returned. The ships had simply vanished without sending any distress signals. "Equipment failures," Zethkar told his staff. "These old ships break down all the time. The humans could not possibly have detected vessels using our latest stealth technology." But Admiral Krozthak was not so sure. The veteran military commander had conquered dozens of worlds, and he had learned to pay attention when ships disappeared. He stood in the bridge of his flagship studying sensor readings that made no sense. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we are detecting some unusual energy signatures near Jupiter. The patterns do not match any known natural phenomena." "Investigate. Immediately," Krozthak ordered. "Send a full squadron to scan that area." Back on Earth, Ambassador Kiara Thompson sat in her office at the United Nations building in New York. To everyone around her, she was just another diplomat trying to establish peaceful contact with alien civilizations. She attended meetings, gave speeches about cooperation, and appeared on television talking about humanity's hopes for friendship with other species. But late at night, when the building was empty, Kiara activated a communication system that connected her directly to the Terra Defense Initiative. Her real job was to monitor the aliens and report their plans back to Earth's military commanders. "Dr. Wright," she said into her secure communicator, "the Galactic Council has approved the invasion. Zethkar is confident that Earth will fall within days. They have no idea what they are walking into." "Understood," Dr. Wright's voice came back through the encrypted channel. "Continue your performance. Let them think we are helpless. The longer they underestimate us, the better our chances of ending this quickly." At the same time, Captain Jake Morrison's team was tracking the alien invasion fleet as it moved toward Earth. Their supposedly simple mining station was actually one of the most advanced intelligence-gathering facilities in human space. Every alien ship was being watched and analyzed. "Captain," Lieutenant Amy Brooks reported, "we have confirmed 300 enemy vessels approaching from the Vega sector. Their formation suggests they expect no resistance." "Perfect," Jake replied. "The more confident they are, the bigger the surprise will be. What is the status of our defensive grid?" Sergeant Pete Collins checked his displays. "All stations report ready. The Luna batteries are charged and waiting. The Mars orbital platforms are in position. The asteroid belt installations are powered up and tracking targets." Jake nodded with satisfaction. For 3 decades, humanity had been building the greatest defensive network in galactic history, while pretending to be a primitive species barely capable of spaceflight. Mining ships that were really weapons platforms. Research stations that were actually military bases. Communication satellites that were really spy networks. The aliens had spent years studying Earth and had seen exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Every probe they sent was detected long before it reached the inner solar system. Every surveillance mission was monitored and carefully managed to give the visitors false information about human capabilities. "Sir," Amy said, "we are receiving new orders from Admiral Hayes. All stealth units are to maintain concealment until the enemy fleet enters the asteroid belt. Then we execute the Lazarus Protocol on her command." Jake smiled grimly. The Lazarus Protocol was named after the biblical figure who rose from the dead. It was a fitting name for the moment when Earth's hidden defenses would suddenly come to life and show the galaxy that humanity was far from helpless. In a few hours, the Galactic Council would learn that their intelligence about Earth was completely wrong. The primitive world they planned to conquer was actually the most heavily defended planet in known space, and the helpless humans they wanted to enslave had been preparing for this moment longer than most alien civilizations had existed. The greatest surprise in galactic history was about to begin. The Vorthak invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a swarm of metal locusts. 300 warships emerged from the bright flashes of faster-than-light travel, their hulls gleaming in the light of the distant sun. Admiral Krozthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, and smiled with satisfaction. "Begin the advance," he ordered his crew. "Maintain battle formation. These humans will surrender once they see our power, but we must be ready if they choose to fight." The alien fleet moved forward slowly, savoring their moment of triumph. Every ship captain had been promised a share of Earth's wealth. Every crew member dreamed of the glory that would come from conquering a new world. They had done this dozens of times before, and it always ended the same way. But as the invasion force passed the orbit of Pluto, something was watching them. Hidden sensors built into what looked like space debris tracked every ship in the alien fleet. The information flowed instantly back to Earth through communication channels that the aliens did not know existed. In the Terra Defense Command Center, Dr. Nathan Wright watched the enemy fleet approach on his main display. President Elena Rodriguez stood beside him, her face pale but determined. Around them, hundreds of technicians prepared to activate weapon systems that had been waiting for this moment for 30 years. "All stations report ready," Colonel Parker announced. "The Phantom fleet is in position. Luna base confirms weapons hot. Mars orbital platforms are tracking targets." Dr. Wright nodded grimly. "Send the activation code to Captain Morrison. It is time to show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of." On the disguised mining station near the moon, Captain Jake Morrison received the message he had been waiting for his entire career. The simple code phrase appeared on his screen: "Execute Lazarus Protocol. Authorization confirmed. All stations, this is Luna Base." Jake spoke into his communicator. "The resurrection begins now. Repeat, the resurrection begins now." Throughout the solar system, installations that had pretended to be harmless mining operations suddenly came alive. Weapons ports opened on asteroids that had looked like simple rocks. Energy shields flickered to life around structures that were supposed to be research stations. Ships that had been hiding in the shadows of planets powered up their engines and weapons. The alien fleet was approaching Mars when the trap was sprung. Admiral Krozthak was studying his tactical displays when his sensor operator called out an alarm. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy readings from the asteroid belt. Multiple contacts are powering up weapon systems." "Impossible," Krozthak snarled. "The humans do not have that kind of technology. Check your instruments." But before the sensor operator could respond, space around the invasion fleet erupted in brilliant flashes of light. Particle beams and quantum torpedoes streaked out from hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt. The first wave of alien ships disappeared in explosions that could be seen from Earth. "All ships, evasive action," Krozthak screamed into his communicator. "Return fire, find those weapons platforms." But the human installations were too well hidden and too well protected. Energy shields deflected the alien weapons while automated defense systems targeted the invaders with deadly precision. What had looked like empty space was actually filled with Earth's most advanced military technology. From behind Jupiter's largest moon, a ship emerged that made the alien commanders freeze in terror. The USS Titan was nothing like the primitive vessels they had expected to face. The massive destroyer bristled with weapons that glowed with barely contained energy. Its hull was covered with armor that seemed to absorb laser fire without damage. Captain Ryan Davis stood on the Titan's bridge and watched the alien fleet struggle against Earth's defenses. His ship had been built in secret facilities that officially did not exist, using technology that was decades ahead of anything the aliens possessed. "Tactical, target their command ship," Captain Davis ordered. "Let us show them what real firepower looks like." The Titan's main guns fired a concentrated beam of pure energy that cut through the Destroyer of Worlds like a sword through paper. Admiral Krozthak had just enough time to see his ship's hull melting around him before the explosion consumed everything. Lieutenant Amy Brooks intercepted alien communications from her position on Luna Base. Her translation software converted the panicked messages into English, and what she heard made her smile grimly. "Captain Morrison," she reported, They are calling for reinforcements. The survivors are saying we are not what their intelligence reported. They are using words that translate to impossible and nightmare, and how did we not know? Jake nodded with satisfaction. Good. Fear will make them sloppy. Continue monitoring their transmissions. I want to know everything they are saying. More human ships appeared throughout the solar system as the Phantom Fleet revealed itself. Destroyers emerged from hiding places behind moons and planets. Cruisers rose up from the surface of asteroids where they had been concealed for years. Each vessel was more advanced than anything in the alien fleet. The USS Phoenix, commanded by Captain Laura Bennett, used its stealth technology to appear directly behind a group of alien cruisers. Before they could react, the Phoenix's weapons systems eliminated 6 enemy ships in as many seconds. "This is Phoenix to all units," Captain Bennett announced. "The enemy is breaking formation. They are trying to retreat toward the outer system." But retreat was not an option. Earth's defensive grid extended far beyond what the aliens had imagined. Hidden battle stations near Saturn opened fire on the fleeing ships. Automated missile platforms that had been disguised as communication satellites launched their deadly payloads. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council watched in horror as their invasion fleet was systematically destroyed. The primitive humans they had planned to conquer were fighting back with technology that seemed impossible for such a backward species. "How is this happening?" Sethkar screamed at his intelligence officers. "You told us they were defenseless." Ambassador Kiara Thompson maintained her innocent expression as she watched the alien leaders panic. Inside, she felt a fierce pride in what her species had accomplished. 30 years of careful planning and preparation were paying off in the most spectacular way possible. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "you should have asked better questions before deciding to attack us." The battle continued for 3 more hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Earth's hidden fleet and defensive installations proved far superior to anything the Galactic Council possessed. Of the 300 ships that had arrived to conquer humanity, fewer than 50 survived to limp back toward alien space. The galaxy was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating the species. From the small blue planet in the outer spiral arm, the surviving Vorthak ships limped back to Nexus Prime like wounded animals fleeing from a predator. Admiral Krozthak was dead, his flagship nothing but floating debris in Earth's solar system. Captain Vektar, the highest-ranking survivor, stood before the Galactic Council with burns covering half his face and terror in his eyes. "They knew we were coming," he reported, his voice shaking. "Somehow the humans knew exactly when and where we would attack. The moment we entered there, system weapons appeared from everywhere, ships that should not exist. Technology that our scientists said was impossible." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives from 12 species shouted accusations and demands for explanations. The easy conquest they had planned had become a military disaster that would be remembered for centuries. Zethkar slammed his fist on the table, his scaled skin turning dark with rage. "This is impossible. Our intelligence reports showed that Earth had no real defenses. They are supposed to be primitives who barely know how to leave their own planet." "Your intelligence was wrong," Captain Vektar replied. "They have energy weapons that cut through our best armor like it was paper. Their ships move faster than ours and hit harder than our dreadnoughts. They have stealth technology that makes them invisible until they want to be seen." Commander Sisk of the Saurok delegation hissed with frustration. "How many ships did they have?" "Our report said maybe 50 vessels in their entire fleet." "Hundreds," Vektar answered. "Maybe thousands. Every asteroid we thought was empty turned out to be a weapons platform. Every mining station was actually a military base. Every research satellite was really a spy network watching us." On Earth, Dr. Nathan Wright stood in the Terra Defense Command Center, watching the aftermath of humanity's first interstellar battle. The victory had been complete, but he knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would regroup and try to figure out how to deal with Earth's unexpected strength. "Phase 2 begins now," he told Colonel Parker and Admiral Hayes. "They know we are not helpless anymore. Now we need to show them exactly how far our reach extends." Captain Laura Bennett received her new orders while the USS Phoenix hung in space near Saturn. Her stealth destroyer had performed perfectly during the battle, but now she had an even more important mission. The Phoenix would travel deep into alien territory to gather intelligence and send a very clear message. Set course for the Sorok home system, Captain Bennett ordered her crew. It is time to show the galaxy that Earth's protection extends far beyond our own solar system. The Phoenix slipped into hyperspace using human faster-than-light technology that was decades ahead of anything the aliens possessed. The journey that would take alien ships weeks to complete took the Phoenix less than 3 days. The Sorok homeworld was one of the most heavily defended planets in the galaxy. Orbital battle stations surrounded the planet like a metal ring. Patrol fleets moved in careful patterns throughout the system. Sensor networks monitored every cubic meter of space for signs of intruders. But the Phoenix passed through all these defenses like a ghost. Captain Bennett's ship used stealth technology that made it completely invisible to alien sensors. The Phoenix spent 2 full days in the heart of the Sorok system, scanning their military installations and recording detailed information about their defensive capabilities. Before leaving, Captain Bennett ordered her crew to perform one final task. The Phoenix briefly dropped its stealth shields and transmitted a simple message to every communication device in the Sorok system before disappearing back into hyperspace. "This is Captain Laura Bennett of the Terran Defense Force," the message said. "We have been watching you. We know your capabilities, your weaknesses, and your plans. Earth extends its protection to all peaceful species, but those who threaten us will face the consequences." The panic that followed this transmission spread through the Sorok government like wildfire. If humans could penetrate their most secure system undetected, nowhere in the galaxy was safe from Earth's reach. Similar messages appeared in the home systems of every Galactic Council member over the next week. Back on Nexus Prime, the Council met in emergency session every day as reports poured in from across the galaxy. Human ships had been detected near the Etherian colonies. Strange energy signatures had been recorded near Chitaran space. The Merchant Alliance reported that their most secret trade routes had been mapped by unknown vessels. "They are everywhere," General Vex of the Synthetic Collective reported, his mechanical voice carrying a note of something that might have been fear. "Our most advanced sensors cannot detect them until they choose to reveal themselves, Ambassador." Kiara Thompson sat quietly in her observer seat, watching the alien leaders struggle with the new reality. Earth was no longer the isolated backwater they had planned to conquer. Humanity had become a major power in the galaxy overnight, and the other species were scrambling to figure out how to respond. "Perhaps," she said during a brief pause in the shouting, "you should consider that Earth might prefer diplomatic solutions to military ones. We defended ourselves when attacked, but we have not launched any offensive operations against your home worlds." Zethkar turned his yellow eyes toward her, his expression filled with suspicion. "What are you saying, human?" "I am saying that my people are reasonable," Kiara replied calmly. "We could have struck first at any of your worlds. We had the capability to attack your fleets before they reached our system, but we chose to wait and defend rather than conquer." The council chamber fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. Earth had known about the invasion plans all along. Humanity could have attacked any of their worlds at any time, but instead of starting a war, humans had chosen to wait and only fight when directly threatened. Dr. Wright monitored the council sessions from his command center on Earth, smiling as he watched the alien leaders realize the truth. Earth's strategy had worked perfectly. By demonstrating overwhelming defensive capability while showing restraint, humanity had earned something more valuable than conquest: respect. "Sir," Colonel Parker reported, "we are receiving communication requests from 6 different alien governments. They all want to discuss peace treaties and trade agreements." "Good," Dr. Wright replied. "Schedule the meetings, but make sure they understand that any future aggression against Earth or our allies will be met with decisive action." The galaxy was learning that the small blue planet in the outer spiral arm was no longer a target for conquest. Earth had become a power that demanded respect, and the other species were beginning to understand that cooperation might be better than conflict. The age of humanity hiding in the shadows was over. Now the real work of building a place in galactic civilization could begin. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so tense. For 3 days, representatives from 12 alien civilizations had argued about how to respond to the human threat. Some wanted to gather every warship in the galaxy for a massive attack on Earth. Others insisted that diplomacy was the only safe path forward. Commander Sisk paced back and forth, his reptilian claws clicking on the metal floor. "We cannot let this insult stand," he hissed. "If we show weakness now, every primitive species in the galaxy will think they can challenge us." "The humans are clearly not primitive," General Vex replied, his mechanical voice cutting through the heated discussion. "They defeated our most powerful fleet with ease. They have demonstrated the ability to strike our homeworlds without warning. Attacking them again would be suicide." Ambassador Quill of the Merchant Alliance spread her blue hands in a gesture of frustration. "My traders are afraid to leave port. Human ships could appear anywhere at any time. Our entire economy is suffering because no one knows where it is safe to travel." Zethkar slammed his fist on the table, his yellow eyes burning with rage and humiliation. "This is all impossible. How did a species that was supposed to be defenseless build such an advanced military in secret?" The debate might have continued for days, but Ambassador Kiara Thompson chose that moment to stand and request permission to address the council. The chamber fell silent as all eyes turned toward the human representative who had been quietly observing their panic. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Kiara began, her voice calm and professional. "I believe it is time for complete honesty between our species." She activated a holographic projector that filled the chamber with detailed images of alien military installations, trade routes, and secret facilities. Every species in the Council recognized their own most classified information displayed for all to see. "For 30 years we have been watching all of you," Kiara continued. "We know the size and location of every fleet in your navies. We have maps of your trade networks and defense systems. We understand your military tactics and political structures better than you understand them yourselves." The alien representatives stared in shock at the intelligence displays. Information that should have been impossible for humans to obtain was laid out before them in perfect detail. "We could have struck any of your worlds at any time during these 3 decades, Kiara said. "We could have crippled your economies, destroyed your fleets, or conquered your colonies. But we chose not to. We waited and prepared for the day when you would threaten us, because we believed in giving peace a chance." General Marcus Wade stood in the Terra Defense Command Center, on Earth, coordinating the final phase of humanity's demonstration. At his signal, human ships appeared simultaneously in the skies above every Galactic Council member's homeworld. On the Sarok home planet, citizens looked up in terror as massive human destroyers materialized in their atmosphere. On the Etherian, colonies, crystalline beings pulsed with fear as Earth's stealth ships dropped their invisibility. Above the Vorthak capital world, an entire human battle fleet appeared where empty space had been moments before. Each ship transmitted the same message in the local language. "Greetings from Earth. We come in peace, but we are prepared to defend ourselves and our allies. Choose your path wisely." The demonstrations lasted exactly 60 seconds before all the human ships vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. But the message was clear to every alien government. Earth could strike anywhere in the galaxy at any time, but they chose restraint over aggression. Back on Nexus Prime, the council chamber was filled with the sound of panicked communication between the alien representatives and their homeworlds. Reports flooded in of human ships appearing and disappearing like ghosts throughout civilized space. "How many ships do you have?" Zethkar demanded, his voice cracking with fear. "Enough," Kiara replied simply. "The question you should be asking is not how many ships we have, but why we have chosen not to use them against you until now." She walked to the center of the chamber, her presence commanding the attention of every alien in the room. "We are not conquerors. We are defenders. We built our fleet and our defenses because we knew this day would come. We prepared for war so that we could choose peace." Commander Sisk stopped pacing and stared at the human ambassador. "What do you want from us?" "Respect," Kiara answered. "Not fear, not surrender, but simple respect between equals. Earth is willing to join the galactic community as a partner, not as a subject or a master. The council members looked at each other uncertainly. Their invasion had failed completely. Their most secure systems had been penetrated. Their homeworlds had been visited by human ships that could have destroyed them all. But instead of demanding tribute or territory, the humans were offering alliance. "What guarantees do we have that you will not attack us?" asked Ambassador Quill. "The same guarantee we have always given," Kiara replied. "We will not attack unless we are attacked first. Earth's policy has not changed. We defend ourselves and our allies, but we do not start wars." Dr. Nathan Wright watched the council session from his command center, smiling as he saw the alien representatives beginning to understand the situation. Earth had demonstrated overwhelming military superiority while showing remarkable restraint. Now the galaxy had to decide whether they wanted humanity as an enemy or as an ally. "Sir," Admiral Hayes reported, "we are receiving formal requests for diplomatic meetings from 8 different governments. The Vorthak Empire has just announced that they are withdrawing all territorial claims against Earth." "Good," Dr. Wright replied. "Schedule the meetings, but make sure our fleet remains at full readiness. Trust is earned over time, not given freely." Over the following weeks, one by one, the Galactic Council members voted to offer Earth full membership in their organization. The species that had planned to conquer humanity now competed to offer the most favorable trade agreements and alliance terms. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of his command station, watching as the first official diplomatic ships from various alien civilizations approached Earth. The ships moved slowly and broadcast peaceful intentions on every communication channel. "Think they have learned their lesson?" Lieutenant Amy Brooks asked as she joined him at the window. Jake smiled, his eyes tracking the dozens of hidden defense platforms that still surrounded their world. "Let us just say, they will not underestimate us again." In the final scene, President Elena Rodriguez met with Dr. Wright in the Terra Defense Command Center as they watched Earth's first official galactic diplomatic summit begin in orbit above their planet. "We are no longer the isolated world they thought we were," the president said. "We never were," Dr. Wright replied, watching as human and alien representatives shook hands for the first time as equals. "We were just patient enough to let them think so until the right moment came." Earth had earned its place among the stars, not through conquest but through the wisdom to prepare for peace while being ready for war.